Good evening and welcome. I'm Teddy, and you are listening to Night Talk. Well, tonight it's D for Dis Too Deep. Analyze this mess because somebody has to say it. Shout out to the mob, all my other bears. I call the Grizzlies. Please hit the like on your way in. And hello to my moderators, Vicky Black and Baby Juju. So I see some comments already. Uh, let's see. Sharon is out there along with Vicky Black. Some of you are in the bushes already. 5 minutes, and then you can make a comment if you are not, or if you subscribe, all right, to this channel. So let me put my headphones on. See how we can get this started. Let me know that the sound is good. I see Baby Juju. Hey, good evening. So both of you are out there. I'll just give it like 30 seconds maybe as people are coming in. All right. Mhm. Yes, D for this too deep because it is. Mhm. Sounds good to you? All right. Then let's go ahead. So most of us, if asked in court who we are, would say a U.S. citizen. But Danielle Robertson, she doesn't. She writes resident. No country claimed, no citizenship confirmed, just a floating identity. And in a court of law, that's not just semantics, it's strategy. You heard that correctly. There is a difference between a U.S. citizen and someone who says they are a resident. Mhm. Because resident is the perfect disguise. We talked about D for disguise this morning. It's the cloak that lets you sue others, silence critics, evade service, and vanish behind a string of digital aliases. We've seen her file lawsuit, then withdraw in 10 days. We've seen signatures change names, blurred lines, mask addresses, electronic versus handwritten names that don't even match. And the deeper we dig, the more it smells like a plan. Not protection, but manipulation. This isn't just about anonymity. No. This is about control, about silencing the truth behind hiding in false identities, shell filings, and weaponized fear. So tonight, we're not just asking, who is Danielle Robertson? We're asking, where does the disguise end and where does accountability begin? Because this too deep. All right, so on your left, you can see the scrolling chat. Maybe I can make it larger, but on the right is the history file, the docket. So I just thought, I just take maybe 2 or 3 minutes, touch base on some of the most important things going on to catch you up to date in the filings. Because right now, we are waiting an answer, let's see, from the judge, the magistrate. Okay. We are at the most recent update to the court filing. You can see it at the bottom, was number 72. Let me just remove this there. Okay. So there was an order that came in response to John Doe's objection number 63. All right. And that came in last Monday, June 23rd. All right. So let's just go up real quick. Because this is when all the flurry of activity really began. And I'm talking about the initial filing by John Doe to quash the subpoena. That came in on April 25th. You see it right there. Okay. It was actually entered into the docket on the 6th of May. Then, by the way, this would come only a few days before I was going to be getting a response from Block. All right. Cash App. All right. So John Doe filed just in time to quash that. All right. Of course, there was rulings on it, and that part has now been terminated. I mean, it's been quashed, right? Also, Jane Doe made her first appearance. That was on the 7th of May with a motion to dismiss this case. All right. Also on May the 7th, while the motion to dismiss came from Jane Doe, John Doe also filed a motion to seal. So there's a lot going on, coordination between Jane Doe and John Doe's timing, shall we say, of the filings. All right. Then let me just go through here quickly. What else came in? I want to go back because I had them in the order. Let me just touch on number. Yes, real quick. I believe it's here. All right. So I filed as the plaintiff a motion to compel compliance with the subpoena. All right. That was number 25. That was the May 2nd, the one that I've referenced. All right. So when Block received notification, I didn't know. All right. Because this is on the 2nd. I didn't see anything that should have upheld them releasing the information except them saying something in a notice. I then filed a motion to compel compliance with the subpoena. All right. And then there was a flurry. Let's just go back here. Okay. Once Jane Doe and John Doe began filing, okay, you can see there were a number of briefs filed, motions filed, objections filed, motion to dismiss. And then I filed a motion. I believe that was number, let's see if I have that one up next. Yes, it was motion, it was ECF number 36. An emergency motion to strike filings submitted under false identities by defendant Danielle Robertson as Jane Doe and John Doe. I haven't shown you this. Although it's on the docket, you can read it. This is public information. This is in the case. But you can now see one of the filings. I'm not going to go through it. I'm just letting you know kind of the timeline. All right. Then, and I filed it because there was so much coming in, to respond to. I then had, John Doe filing, Jane Doe filing, these things were coming back to back. It's like, whoa, who? I'm getting all of these filings from anonymous, Jane Doe and John Doe. They hadn't even asked the court to file, with a pseudonym or, anonymously. Okay. After that, that would be important. Would come this order, number 58. After, multiple filings, there was an order from the judge magistrate to strike John Doe's objections 46 and 47 and extend the deadline for the objections and disclosure of identity. All right, so that would be the first. And that was, the disclosure was supposed to come on June the 20th. You see it right here. Okay, it was ordered. Okay. However, because the magistrate judge had ruled on the subpoena to quash the subpoena, it was no longer, at that point, the identity of John Doe to be answered. All right. But let me go on. Let me just tell you again. So 58 was a crucial order. They're all crucial, but in terms of what I'm sharing tonight. All right. So 46, 47 were stricken, and this is where the corrected objection was due by June the 3rd. However, John Doe filed it late. So the magistrate judge, although she struck 46, 47, and then she struck 57 after that, which would have been a supplement, then allowed John Doe, to respond to the objection that he made, but it had to be corrected. All right. Now, again, I'm trying to go through these quickly. After 58 came a 61. The 61 was an order for the plaintiff, for me. A new order to show cause because the defendant, Daniel Robertson, improperly named, or Jane Doe, had filed this order to dismiss based on her argument improperly served or not properly served, all right, and whether or not the court had jurisdiction, all right, in this case. That is what I responded to show cause. That was due by June 4th. It's in, and that is where we are at as far as getting a response from the judge whether or not this case is going to move forward based on those two. And they both must be answered, not one. All right. So I have to demonstrate that Daniel Robertson has been properly served and that the judge has jurisdiction. Okay. In the meanwhile, let's see, that was number 61. There was a 62. This is important. The judge also ruled on the same day. This was May 22nd. There was an order granting non-party John Doe's motion to quash. So that's when it was granted. All right. The ECF number 27, and also granting the defendant Robertson's motion to quash subpoenas, one from Google and also the one from Block. All right. So May 22nd, granted both. All right. For both the defendants. And let me just be careful to say. Or why don't I just put it here? Okay. Let's see what she said. This is the part. Evans' subpoenas are premature. All right. Precludes parties from seeking discovery from any source before parties have conferred as required by this Rule 26, except in a proceeding exempted from initial disclosure. So it was premature. Not that a subpoena couldn't be executed, but it was too premature, all right, out of order, if you will, all right. So that's why it was quashed. Mm-hmm. I won't say too much more on that, all right, because I don't want to. We'll just leave it at that, all right. The next thing was, let's see, this corrected objection. So John Doe filed, you can see it, on June the 4th, this number 63. We're up to number 72, all right? And the judge responded, Judge Levy, the district judge, to John Doe's corrected objection, which he called it corrected objection to magistrate's judge's order 38 and notice regarding subpoena status, right? Though in 58, it was ordered for him to respond, all right, to the corrected objection. So let's go to 72. What the judge responded. Okay. So this will catch you up right now. So number 72 that was just filed on the 23rd of June. Judith Levy, in this case, it was an order overruling in part non-party John Doe's corrected objection to the magistrate. But let me just go right to the bottom here so we can see what the ruling was and is. Okay. So, based on all of the above, and I will revisit that in just a moment. For the reasons set forth above, Doe's objections are overruled in part and granted in part. All right. That had to do with Judge Stafford's May 14th order requiring Doe to disclose his identity. That is now vacated. All right. However, Doe's objections to Judge Stafford's denial of his request to seal is overruled. All right. So his information that he requested, barring, outside of his identity, that is not sealed. All right. Also, in this same order, we'll go above here. It says Doe may remain anonymous at this time. He alleges some risk of harassment, but more importantly, his appearance under a pseudonym has no risk of prejudice to plaintiff because his identity was not relevant to resolution or to the resolution of his motion to quash. Okay. However, the court warns that going forward, Doe may not submit filings under a pseudonym in this case without explicitly seeking permission from the court. Further, Doe has not demonstrated an entitlement to sealing of his contact information or any other filings. Okay. And the footnote here is Doe's objections do not hold merit. Doe argues that Judge Stafford incorrectly treated Doe's motion as seeking pseudonymity, ECF number 63, but Judge Stafford correctly ordered Doe to reveal his identity because he filed under a pseudonym without asking permission from the court. Additionally, Doe's objection that Judge Stafford's order contained due process concerns because, and then I have to skip past that, she required disclosure of his identity before Rule 72 objection deadline is moot because the deadline is no longer at issue. Okay, so that's why June 20th, the initial date, May 23rd, and then it was moved out to June 20th, and now because of the magistrate's decision, it's no longer at issue. So, I think I took your quickly through, um, you know, all the filings. You can go to, you know, right here to the U.S. courts and see it on Pacer. Hang on for 1 second. Let's see if I can put up a larger view here. Give me a second of the chat. Because I want to ask you some questions. And I want to continue talking about this D for this too deep, right? But I wanted to take a moment to do this. Hang on, real quick. Almost there. Make it just a little larger. And hang on, one more thing. See if this will work. All right. All right, so I'm just going to fire off some questions, just some things to think about while I'm, talking about some other information related to this too deep. How we doing out there? For one, moderators, everything good? You know what? Great. It's not me. Says D for Danielle in despair. D. You know what? That word, despair, it came up. Now that's a coincidence. Wow. You have no idea what I'm referring to. But moderator, baby Juju. Baby Juju. I sent you something. Yes. You asked me a question, and I don't know if you received my response, but I did just respond just before the show. Hmm. Interesting. I don't want to see. Don't want to give anything away. All right. But that's kind of a coincidence. All right. Anything else? So who else is in the beer cave? Let me ask a couple of questions. I said I would do that. All right. So, and then I'll come out. Question. So why wouldn't a U.S. citizen just say so in a court filing? I don't know. I mean, I don't know their identity, but I'm just asking questions. Yeah. It's like some could be rhetorical, others could be, something probative or um, not necessarily provocative. I'll just say probative. And then, what do you think would be a reason why someone would have sued, and then withdraw in 10 days? Okay. Why do the signatures that I showed earlier this morning across Danielle's filings, why don't they match? And maybe one more. Let's see. If she's so innocent, why fight so hard to stay anonymous? Okay. Now, let me see who else is out there. I can roll up. And it's right here in front of me. All right. Few shout outs. My moderators, of course, we got Maria, Polly, Polo, the Princess, Viva, It's Not Me, Gia Papaya, Jane Locke, Mimi Twin, good evening. Love Wins, Sharon. Rare Groove. Good evening, Victoria. Maria. All right. So now I'll do that, and I can see how the chat's moving. So while it's moving, I will, I'll be looking at both screens, back and forth. But at least I can see it here. Okay. So now you're caught up with the dates. We've got a few questions out there. I talked about D for disguise, and now it's dis to deep. It's as if I don't even really know what I don't know. I've been saying that for some time. We don't know what we don't know, right? But as things are moving along, other things are happening too that at least raise more questions. And I'm wondering, is this part of, to cause any confusion, chaos? We've got different filings here, there, people appearing on this, on the West Coast, and, here in Michigan, we've got a couple of filings. Like, what is really going on here? Remember, gotta keep in mind, I keep stressing this. Danielle says she always wins. In case you haven't heard that, specifically, she's said it a number of times, enough that I haven't. She said she always wins. Always. She says she's smart. She says she hates it. This is like one of her pet peeves. In case you don't know, one of her pet peeves is she hates when someone thinks they're smarter or tries to outsmart her. So even the attempt to outsmart her, these are her words, that really rubs her the wrong way because she's smarter than anyone else and she always wins. It's chess, not checkers. She's always 4 to 5, steps way ahead. She does things deliberately. All right. So if you just didn't notice, one of the things that she does, again, when I say something, I have a receipt. It's either public, posted somewhere, or I have the post, or I have the video. Okay. She does things deliberately to create paper trails. Period. Yes. So she might file or may have filed. Again, we don't know all the reasons. She may have just filed out in California and withdrew, the lawsuit because she wanted it on record. Information about someone. Or there's many reasons, many reasons why she could have filed. All right. I don't know the exact reason. I'm just sharing that. Okay. I see right at the bottom, Sharon Sale. Can I say Sayers? Is L silent? Says, I saw a stamp. I think you are referring. Oh, that's correct. Great. Sayers. When I've seen the L, I always try to, I stop and try to pronounce it, but great. Says, I saw a stamp. I saw the stamp too. And when I've filed both ways here. I've, hand delivered documents or a filing. I've walked it into the court. I've also electronically filed more recently. When I have filed in person, it does look different. The documents, I could have shown you, or maybe I will. Let me just stay on point. The court, if you're in person, they actually, if you hand it to them, they will stamp it. Like with a stamp or put it in a timestamp. Okay. And then when they file it, you will see the case number, the page number, the court, at the top. I tried. So this is where we take a quick break because it's getting ready to thunder outside. Hang on for a second. I need to put my dog up. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back and I didn't even close the mic. All right, but you didn't hear anything, right? Okay. So, let's see if I have it here so I can show you. Throw this up real quick. I want to show you when I walk something in. Or I've filed something. Oh, we can just start with the complaint. Okay, here we have it. All right, so this is a filing, a response to order to show this was back in April when I filed. Okay. You can see there's a stamp, clerk's office, Detroit. All right. And then you can also see across the top is once it's entered, then there's a case number, a filing or file number in the history, document number, 23, the page ID, the date it was filed, and the page number of the total number of pages that you're filing. Okay? Now, take a look at what appears when I've electronically filed something. Let's just cover this up. And that would be recent. And this is my most recent filing. Plaintiff's response to order to show cause regarding service and personal jurisdiction. Okay. Let's see this. It's 120 pages. But you notice No court stamp filed. Okay. So Sharon is referring to whether it was walked in. Did someone, and I asked the question earlier. Hang on, I'm just trying to bring your bring up the screen again. Get rid of that. Yes. So whether or not it was walked in, when I saw the stamp, the clerk's stamp, I thought, that's why I asked the question. Did someone hand deliver a document, like walked it in the court? That was in California. And remember, at the bottom of that cover sheet for the case when it was filed, the name that appeared on the signature of the first page is Daniel Robertson. It appears to be handwritten. Don't know when that was, where that was, made or done or whatever. But so I'm wondering, did someone actually walk that in? That mean that's a link there to California. If someone is there physically putting their name and submitting files, this wouldn't be on behalf of the plaintiff unless it's a lawyer. And this plaintiff is pro se when they filed it. Again, I don't know, but if someone actually walked in and submitted, I don't know. What does that mean? I can't confirm it. I can just show you only that the procedure I'm familiar with is when you hand deliver something, it gets a court file stamp and then it gets uploaded. Yeah, they don't put that file stamp when you submit things electronically. No. And I could pull that page, but we won't take, a long time on that one. All right. But that's important though. That's important. Right? So who's out in California? If that's the case. Sharon says it makes me wonder where her location is currently. Curiosity, never to harass. No, that's not my purpose. It just says like, wow. All right. Is there someone out there in California who is acting on the behalf of the plaintiff in this case? Who filed that? I don't know. Again, that I'm concerned about the name, and I've made that clear. All right, I've read that. I'm concerned about my case and how that filing would relate the name. Okay. Let's see. Any other comments? I might as well look. It's a pity we can't request the camera footage. Speaking of cameras, there was a date that had been set for a Zoom hearing, a Zoom like a conference. And that was scheduled for September the 19th, I believe it was. Mhm. And for the case out in California. Yeah. Even if cameras weren't allowed in the courtroom, the two parties plus the judge and the clerk or whoever at the recording, others would be present. But that no longer is the case because Danielle has withdrawn, that lawsuit. Mhm. But reserves the right, she says, um, in the future. Mhm. Mm. All right, so while you're thinking about those questions, and I know I took some time to answer that, Sharon, um, something else on these D for too deep. I want to make, I'm just trying. There's some things that I kind of remember if you've been following me. I'm not talking about everybody who's showing up now. I continuously say, I'm waiting for a response. So now everyone knows, right? And I say, I have to kind of wait. I can't say a whole lot just yet. Things that I'd like to, but I have to wait to see where this case is going to land for now. All right. So again, I'm just talking about the other for now. So it was filed in California. Again, while the case here continues in Michigan. So you know now the dates that I discuss. So sometime between the time where the deadline that I was to submit as the plaintiff, my response to show cause, then there was this filing in California between the period. And the judge hasn't even responded to, us here in Michigan. And that case was filed and basically withdrawn all in 10 days. July 17th to June 17th to June 27th. Okay. July is right around the corner. So, was that done to create confusion or to challenge jurisdiction? We don't know. But keep in mind, Danielle says she's the smartest one in the room. She plays chess, not checkers. She always wins. There's always a strategy. There is a reason. This wasn't just done randomly. No. Nothing that you see moving. I've learned this, okay, in dealing with her. The little I do know. It's all part of a plan. It's all part of a plan. How things are being filed, even back to U.S. resident. That's not arbitrary. No. I'm learning some new things here. Yeah, that could be very, very purposeful. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Don't know why. Can't tell you her reason, but I can just say I think it's part of a bigger plan. Even if it was to spend the money, put it down, file it, and then kill it. Hey, Jennifer Love Spewett at the bottom. I have to say hello. Says Teddy, don't forget, a certain family member has ties to California. They faced criminal charges there before. Hmm. There are some people in California. That's right. Uh, what are you laughing at me because what is this? Sharon says the money through me to Teddy. Is that it? Yeah, it's like, plop it down. Doesn't matter. I could tell you guys something. I gotta wait. I gotta wait. Yes. Hmm. Um, and in their claims in the lawsuit, this is something there's consistent. Um, fear, protective orders, um, that kind of thing. This is the reason why they must stay anonymous. All right? Anonymous. I'm and they say people are threatening. I have not threatened. Where's the receipt, Danielle? There's a lot in these filings, guys. So you just have to kind of read them, right? So, is something disguised as a defense, part of the defense, a tactic, yeah, that they can rely on, something in a playbook that has been repeated over and over again. This is definitely deeper. I think this is deeper. th- Yeah, this is too deep for just um, for me to think that one solo dolo lone star is doing all this. I just don't think so. But do I know so? I do. Okay. Also, the language that was used in the complaint in California, it kind of mimicked the format, the structure. I talked about that. And even some of the language of the filing here of the complaint in Michigan. I should say here in Michigan, as I was about to sneeze. Mm. So now, let me just read some of your comments because I have a lot I could talk about. It's 11 o'clock. I've been on for exactly an hour, and that's usually what I um, kind of cure myself, about an hour. But we'll stay on a little bit longer to read some of your questions and, or comments and see what you think. I've asked some questions. What do you think? And please, I think we're doing a pretty good job. Um, Reminder to be, you know, respectful in the chat, even if you have a difference of opinion. Okay. Um, hmm, let's go back up to the folks wave in. Let's just kind of see. You know what? I could move. I don't have to move this screen. Let me move the one on the other side. That way you don't get, you have to see that. You can see the comments as they're going current. Tactical Tales. Yes. Baby Juju. Um, yeah, she was definitely mimicking things that were in my complaint. You think she's getting careless. Jennifer, just because you haven't been here in a while, says also it could have been a distraction. Yes, could be because of people thinking it is the soul cycle girl from California. They may have been trying to create a diversion, then cancel it quick because of the name. Yeah, just to kind of stir that pot. I felt like, hmm, is that a strategy? Because let me make it clear for everyone. I have not been talking about the bicycle lady. All right. It's been floated out there. We've heard about it. And I've even, you know, looked at someone's channel who's talking about it because I'm like, okay, what do they have to say about, this soul cycle? And I talked about it because that name, that person was floated back in 2022 is when I first learned of that individual. Have I, emphasized it? No, I haven't. But that's a good point, Jennifer, because it has been floated and it could be used as a diversion. And guess who mentioned it in a post? Yes. She was mentioned, sorry, in a post. The cycle lady. Let's see. Since we're on that, let me just see what a snippet of what was said there. If I can recall. Let's see. Something about false doxing and harassing the soul cyclist. Um, and then concluding by saying that has nothing to do with YouTube. That has nothing to do with YouTube. How would she know that? Now, that's just a general, kind of like a response. Yeah. All comments and opinions are your own. But I think you make a very good point, Jennifer. It's something to, yeah, yeah, it could have been to create a diversion. Yeah. And then, yeah, cancel it quick. Who cares about the money when the money is, oh, I can't say anything. Yeah. Who else? Let me just look through these. What do you think? Tactical Tales Boot Camp. I haven't seen you. Let's see. Cross border litigation. Okay. Is what she had to do because you can't sue a person in Canada without going through that system. Okay. And because here's another thing. It could be also because of jurisdiction. Google headquarters is out in California. And to sue someone for copyright, um, Google is to sue them in the jurisdiction. Okay, I'm learning that as well, or I've learned that. Although, although it, although it depends. I'll just say it like that. Although it depends on, what channels and what you are filing. I'll just say that. Okay. So, is that the reason that she filed in California? Okay, that could answer that, but why withdraw in 10 days? Why? If you know you always win. If they always win and they were filing the complaint, they always win. Why didn't they go through with it? Because she doesn't intend to ever go to court. Is it's not me says, right? Because what would that defeat? The anonymity. She's going to do everything in her power, him or her, whoever, because we really don't know, do we? We don't know until we know. Jennifer, it drops so fast, it's what makes you think it was a diversion. Yeah, like part of the plan. It's, she'll spend $1,000 to obtain cam footage or, you know, pay someone membership to an OnlyFans. Now, you're going to say, oh, well, how do you know that? Listen carefully. If I say something like that, you need to know that I have a receipt. If you're new, I have her confession, and she calls it a confession, and she laughs and yeah, kind of snickers like, oh, I can't, but I gotta tell it. She had to tell it to her Avengers one day while she was in her car driving. Yeah, so she got on her station head one day. And she was so proud of herself, and she said so, that she was bursting at the seams, that she had to just tell her Avengers of something. Yeah. And this happened a couple of years back, maybe. Let's see. Maybe it was in 22, 3. Wow. Yeah, so she confessed that she actually, you know, took care of someone, paid for them to get on so that they could, see an online OnlyFans account. Wow. And she admitted it. Yes, as she was, talking about it, not realizing it was being recorded, for a rainy day like now. Yes. So she admitted. And so it's the exchange of money. Yes, she admitted it. So, yes, she pays for things. She does. That's not slander, Danielle. That's not defamation, Danielle. You struck that video because you didn't want people to hear it. Your confession, remember? You struck it. So she heard me play it and she didn't like it. Although I gave lots of commentary about it. That's what I'm talking about. It's in her own words. So I try to keep it, pretty narrow because I know how she is. Just let her words. But she didn't even want to hear her words. But it's the truth. And you know what? She mentioned other people. Yeah, she mentioned other people on the party line. Y'all haven't heard about the party line? Oh, you know what? I better be quiet. I'm getting off of topic. Y'all didn't know about the party line. Okay. Back to DForDisTooDeep. Yeah. So yes, it could have been a distraction and different reasons. And I made that point because, $400. What's $400 to Danielle? I mean, come on. What's $400 to Danielle? Yeah. So you file it in 10 days. It's just part of, it's just part of the plan. Allegedly. Yeah. Yes, the party line. You haven't heard about the party line. Somebody put up a question mark. Okay, I'm old school, and somebody I heard called me old. That's okay. I am 66 years old. How about that? And the president, is he still 79? Yeah. Yeah, it's called the party line. So if I say that, it's because that's what we used to call it. Yeah, a party line. Okay. Maybe you say something different. Okay. Does someone else speak about the party line? Okay. No, wait a minute. Let me stay on board. What else? Anyone else think something different? Let's see. It's not me, says Polly. That's why she's always has them go to her I can't. That website. And the only way that you can get access is through her Discord. Yeah. And by entering their information into the website. Yes, because I've learned she actually tracks people. Yes, she can track your IP address and she can even tell you where you logged in from. Yes. Yes. Yeah, she made a video and it's posted. And she calls it stalking. I call it gathering my receipts for a rainy day. How about that? But yes, you need to go. It's like through several gates. It's like, I won't call it credentialing, but it's like, like a second step, second or third step. There's levels. And maybe that's why, when you have, close to 16,000 followers, only 50 people show up to Discord. Okay. Because maybe the other 14 or 15,000 really don't want you to track them. I don't know. And if she thinks you're an op, you got to have the right combination. You can't, if you want to be part of the Discord group, stay in the bushes. Don't let her see you appear up in the bear cave. That's a big no. Please don't do it. And don't create a name that's close to your name, because she'll figure that out. And even if you put a pink dot up there, she can figure out who it is. Yeah, she's got technology that's just out of this world. Yeah, I don't know how she does it, but she can dox a pink circle. No, I kid you not. She can dox. If she wants to dox you today, she can dox you today. Yes. Mhm. I wouldn't say that if I didn't have receipts. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's just a matter of time. If you didn't know that, no, this is not. No, it's true. Cross her and see how quickly she can identify you. And it's like she can identify everyone else, but she can't be identified. There's just something about that. She calls people the queen of doxing. No, she came on this channel doxing. Yes. Mhm. So she's very, very skilled at it. Yes. Mhm. As a matter of fact, there were doxing parties on the party line. Okay, so who is Foxy BB? Says, hi, y'all, listening in the bushes while at work. Oh my goodness. What did I just hear? Yes, she can identify anyone. I say it, I really believe it. Yeah, she's done it enough that I'm convinced. So she doesn't have to convince me. And if you are new, she can dox you if she wants to, if she finds a reason to. Yes. I'm serious. I'm not making that up. Mm. So just be warned. Um uh yeah. Yeah, it's true. And that's one of the reasons that there are so many people that are afraid of her, because it's, yeah, and she can go beyond. Yeah. I don't know how she finds people's um like phone numbers, cell phone numbers, things that are private like that. But yeah, she's called family members, and yeah, she can do it quickly. Yeah. Hmm. And yeah, There's rules. There are rules. Yeah. So don't get out of line. Y'all think I'm making this up. I'm sorry, but I'm not. Yes, she has access to information. And she has access to information that isn't available just to, you know, I mean, some of it's available to the public, but it seems that she has a just a different channel, different ways that she can gather information. I don't know how she gets it so quickly. Yeah, yeah, it's like unbelievable, really. Hmm. Yeah, maybe it's because it's called those layers. So maybe someone in those layers might have access because you just never know who she knows, right? Yeah. So I don't. um, yeah, she vets her own followers, and that's not. I'm not saying that's a bad idea if it's an op, somebody. But she that it's that part. She makes them go through gates. Yeah. And then people complain when they can't get onto Discord. Well, how do I know that? Because, well, I am a member of, yeah, and I've been a member since 2022. Oh, shame on me. But no, had I not been, I wouldn't know a number of things that I now know about me. That she's, and when you are, you get that little notification. Discord, I'm not interested though, because she's following, she's tracking me. So, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Someone often spoke about Anon. I talked about that yesterday, and I think today too, maybe. Yeah, they have it's a step by step guide. Yeah. Yeah. She put out a video and she talked about how to, stay um, basically anonymous. And there are rules, and she gave it basically, rules. Yeah, you want to remain anon, and she did say she is anon. Mhm. And there are others that are anons too. No, they kind of pledged that anon thing. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, but when you're anonymous and you're doing things that are, you know, let's just say you use anonymity to carry out other kinds of deeds that don't follow certain rules, well, then that's not so nice. You see how I speak about things. It might be boring for some, but it does the job for me. Yeah. Um, what else? The motivation. The motivation is to remain anonymous and always win, and to control. It's like fear, intimidation, and control. It's a tactic that she employs. Hmm. Yeah, she does. Because she instills fear by one, showing others by demonstrating the consequences of not falling in line or disagreeing with her or, you know, just something like that. And so she will quickly demonstrate how thorough, depending on what limits what she wants to go to. But someone as outspoken, like I'm outspoken about things that I've experienced, yeah, yeah. She has no limits, she says. Yeah, when it comes to me. Yeah, but I'm still going to speak out. I am. Yes, it's fear, intimidation, control. And when she takes on that persona, the Danny Montana persona, you can really see it demonstrated because she has said, basically, who do you want to show up today? That's kind of like a foreshadowing, like I can be this or I can be that. It's like you pick. You choose. Mm-hmm. Do you think I'm kidding? Do you think I'm making this up? I am not at all. Hmm. I would play it, and I have played it, and she struck me. Yeah. It is almost past my bedtime. Thank you for reminding me. It's 11:29. Yeah. Yeah. Now I'm just kind of, yeah, talking. But it's D for this to deep. We're going into a new week, and I am hoping that maybe this week we'll hear from the magistrate. Again, for those of you who I don't know, for those of you who I do who come on a regular basis, thank you. I don't know what the decision is going to be. Um, yeah, but the longer it goes, without a decision, the more I can see that things are being done. So, yeah, I appreciate all of you for your support. And that's it for me. I've drawn over a half an hour. All right. So, yeah, you can email me at unwinewithteddy@gmail.com. Again, thanks to my moderators. Thank you all for your support. But now it's time to say good night. Biggest bear hugs go out to all the grizzlies and the honey bears. Join me sometime tomorrow when I come back. But that's it. That's all. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm Teddy. Good night.